with Mr. Shine. Bruce, it's a tough, interesting decision with Gaston as far as managers in the Hall of Fame go. He's 1-2. He's the only manager that's 1-2 that's not in the Hall of Fame, although I think Tom Kelly's 1-2, and he's not in the Hall of Fame either. Won in 87, 91, and Kelly's not a Hall of Famer, so he isn't the only manager to win 2. But the bottom line is you can certainly make a case for Cito to be a Hall of Fame manager. Not many are in. He could be. What's your take on that? Go ahead.
Well, I mean, I think you have to look at it, too, through the prism of, how those championships were won, right? He took over a Blue Jay team that was, severely underperforming under Jimmy Williams in early '89, and they instantly turned things around. Now, they had a lot of momentum going their way, too, right? They opened up a new building and the purse strings and so forth and so on. And it's funny, too, when you look at the back-to-back championships, you kind of, piece them together as the same group. I was looking at this earlier. They had lost Cone, they had lost Key, they had lost Winfield, they had lost Gruber, they had lost Henke. They lost a lot of key pieces from that 92 team, and still, even with that dramatic turnaround in terms of quality and quantity, were able to win it again in 93. His players swear by him. I would tend to agree with you, Chris. At first blush, if you ask me Hall of Fame, I'd probably say no, but I mean, just a terrific, wonderful managerial career, his 2 stints there.
Had a great team in 93. He had Ricky, he had Molitor. I mean, he had a lot of Hall of Famers on that team. Obviously, Carter. I mean, Dave Stewart came over from Toronto, from Oakland to Toronto. So he had a lot of very, very good players. Tom Flores is a good comparison. He's up for the Hall of Fame this year in the NFL. Now, Flores won 2 titles with the Raiders, and he did it in 2 different cities. He won the 81 in Oakland, and then he won the 83 one in LA. He never really had a home game in 83. The problem with Flores is he took over from a Raider with Al Davis there, and of course that team did nothing but win for years before he got there. Number 2, he went to Seattle after that and didn't do a good job. They had a bad record. So that's why Tom doesn't get in. Gaston, that was a good Blue Jay team in the 80s. Cox, Williams, that was good teams. They didn't come out of nowhere, and he didn't finish. He didn't go anywhere else to win somewhere else. That's probably hurt him here from that standpoint. I mean, he is a little, he's underrated. There's no question about it. And he has won the 2 titles. Now, Kelly's not in the Hall of Fame either, and Tom Kelly's as good as anybody, and he's not in either. So it's a tough call on Gaston. I can make a case one way or the other. Earl Weaver hasn't won 2 championships, and he's in the Hall of Fame. So that is not a common denominator, the amount of titles. Waddy Herzog didn't win 2 titles, and he's in the Hall of Fame. So it's not necessarily the 2, but it's the fact that Gaston kind of, after he won that second one, he kind of disappeared, and he did take over a good team. He's underrated historically. There's no question about it. You'd say yes or no Hall of Fame? You'd say no?
I probably say no, because as you just stipulated, I think he somehow falls guilty of being, right guy at the right time. I don't know if it, hurts his case, the fact that he did work under, a Hall of Fame executive and Pat Gillick, who was the architect of those teams. He did have several other opportunities, but it's not like he was wanting for a job. He turned down the Dodgers. Kenny Williams, who played for him, wanted to hire him with the White Sox before Ozzie Guillen. The Tigers wanted him. So it wasn't for lack of opportunities, but,
right.
It's kind of like the whole NBA and the NFL quarterback thing. I don't think there has to be a stipulation that you're a Hall of Famer just because you did or did not win titles. There's more to it than that, and I definitely think it's more complex when you start talking about the coaching fraternity.
Yeah, I do think you got to win a championship, though. You can't, Don Nelson is, we can go on this forever, but I do think you got to win a title. At least one, he's won 2. Lots to do.